Two people, same city, same salary, same bank account on the same Tuesday morning in 2005. Marcus was 25. He had $400 left after rent, after groceries, after the car payment that never seemed to end. His co-worker, Daniel, had the exact same $400. They both drove the same route to the same office. They both complained about the same boss. But on that Tuesday morning, Marcus did one thing differently. He logged into his brokerage account, set up an automatic transfer, and told his bank to move $500 every single month without asking him again. Daniel bought a new television. That was it. No dramatic decision, no inheritance, no secret knowledge, just $500 moved automatically month after month while Marcus forgot it even existed. 30 years later, Marcus retired at 55 with $2.3 million sitting in an account he barely touched. Daniel is still working. This is not a story about luck. This is not a story about talent. This is a story about one number, one date, and the mathematical law that most people learn too late to use. There is a force in the financial world that operates whether you understand it or not, whether you believe in it or not, whether you use it or not. It was identified by Albert Einstein, though the story may be legend, as the eighth wonder of the world. He allegedly said that those who understand compound interest earn it, and those who don't pay it. The mathematics of compounding is not complicated. It is simply the process of earning returns on your returns. Every dollar you invest grows, then those gains grow, then the gains on those gains grow, and on in a silent, invisible expansion that most people never witness because they never start. Here is what the numbers actually say. If you invest $500 a month beginning at age 25, and you earn an average annual return of 8%, which is below the historical average of the S&P 500 over any 30-year period, by age 55, you will have accumulated approximately $2.3 million. You contributed $216,000 of your own money. The market added $2,084,000 on your behalf. Read that again. You put in $216,000. The compounding gave you $2,084,000. That is a 9-to-1 ratio. $9 working silently for every $1 you actually earned. Now change just one variable. Start at 35 instead of 25. Same $500 per month, same 8% return, same discipline. By 55, you have $830,000. 1 decade of delay cost you $1.4 million. You did not spend that money. You did not lose it in a bad investment. You simply waited 10 years, and the universe charged you $1.4 million for that wait. This is not an opinion. This is arithmetic. It is the same arithmetic that built every generational fortune in American history. The Rockefellers understood it, the Carnegies understood it, the quiet men and women who retire early and leave their families wealthy understood it. And most people will finish reading that sentence and do nothing. Let us go back to Marcus. The year is 2008. 3 years into his automatic $500 transfer, the market collapses, the financial crisis hits. His portfolio, which had grown to nearly $20,000, drops to $11,000 in 6 months. Marcus does not panic, not because he is brave, because he automated the decision in 2005 and never gave himself the option to be afraid. The transfer happened every month. It bought shares at crashed prices, shares that 2 years later were worth twice what he paid for them. This is the second secret inside the $500 rule. When you invest automatically, you practice what professionals call dollar cost averaging. You buy more shares when prices are low, fewer when prices are high. Over decades, this mechanical process beats the decisions of most active investors, not because it is clever, but because it removes the most expensive factor in any financial decision, the human emotion behind it. Meanwhile, Daniel watched the crisis unfold on his new television. He told himself he would start investing when things stabilized, when his salary went up, when he felt more secure, when the time was right. The time for people like Daniel is never right, because the feeling of readiness does not arrive before you start. It arrives slowly after you start, and by then, the decade is already gone. In 2012, Daniel finally opened a brokerage account, 7 years late. With the sincere intention of investing $500 a month. He managed it for 4 months before a car repair wiped out his buffer and he paused the transfers, just temporarily, he told himself, and never restarted. This pattern repeats in every city, in every generation, in every income bracket. Not because people are irresponsible, but because they never made the decision automatic. They kept giving themselves the monthly choice to do it or not. And choice, when money is tight and life is loud, almost always loses. The only defense against this is to make the choice once and remove it from your hands forever. Now, where does the $500 actually go? This is where most financial content fails you. They tell you to invest, but not what to invest in. Let us be specific. The simplest and most historically proven approach for someone who is not a professional investor is a low-cost index fund that tracks the total American stock market, not individual stocks, not cryptocurrency, not your brother-in-law's business idea. A broad, diversified index fund with an expense ratio below 0.2%. The reason is simple. Over any 25-year period in the last century, the American stock market has never produced a negative return. There have been crashes, there have been depressions, there have been wars and panics and political disasters. And through all of them, over long enough periods, the market has recovered and continued upward. Warren Buffett understood this better than almost anyone. His advice to the average person has been consistent for decades. Buy an S&P 500 index fund, never sell it, and go live your life. He said this while running one of the most sophisticated investment operations in human history. He did not say this because it is the second best option. He said it because for most people, it is genuinely the best, but there is a layer above this. Once your automated $500 is established and running, once it has become as automatic as your electricity bill, you begin to look for a second asset. Not instead of the index fund, in addition to it. This might be a rental property that your growing investment account eventually helps you purchase, or a small business interest, or real estate investment trusts, REITs, that pay dividends directly into the account that is already compounding for you. The principle is the same at every level. You do not build wealth by finding the perfect investment. You build it by building a system that acquires assets automatically, compounds them silently, and forces you to never interrupt the process. The asset is not the stock. The asset is the system. The system is what makes you free. Here is the part nobody wants to hear. $500 a month sounds like a lot to some people. And for some people, it is genuinely a constraint. But for most people in the Western world earning an average income, it is not the money that is the obstacle. It is the invisibility of the alternative. Every month, the average American spends approximately $150 on subscriptions they rarely use, $90 on food they throw away, $200 on impulse purchases they forgot about before the credit card statement arrived. These are not moral failures. They are the natural result of living in an environment designed to extract money from you before you decide what to do with it. The $500 rule inverts this. You move the money first, before you see it, before you spend it, before you convince yourself you need it. You pay your future self the way you pay your landlord, without negotiation, without exception, without delay. When people calculate what they spend versus what they keep, most are genuinely shocked, not because they are reckless, but because no one ever drew the direct line between the daily expenditure and the decade it cost them on the other end of their life. Every unnecessary purchase is not just money spent, it is time surrendered. It is the years on the back end of your life where you could have been free. Shopping, traveling, sleeping, reading, building, resting, that instead become years of continued obligation, continued labor, continued waiting for a retirement that the math never allowed. Marcus retired at 55, not because he earned more than Daniel, not because he was smarter, luckier, or more disciplined in any dramatic sense. He retired because on one Tuesday morning in 2005, he made one automatic decision and never reversed it. The $500 rule is not about $500, it is about the moment you stop negotiating with yourself about your future. The moment the transfer becomes as non-negotiable as the rent, as non-discussable as the electric bill, as silent and permanent as gravity. The people who build wealth are not the people who earn the most. They are the people who decided earliest, who automated fastest, who removed themselves most completely from the monthly decision about whether to build or spend. The mathematics does not care about your reasons for waiting. It only cares about the date you started, and the most expensive financial decision you will ever make is the decision to start next month instead of today. If this changed how you see money, subscribe. Not because of this channel, because the next video will show you the exact opposite of this story. So you know what happens when you follow the system that was built to take your money instead of grow it. How banks profit from your delay, how the financial industry earns more when you stay confused. The rules exist, they have always existed. Most people spend their entire lives inside a system they never questioned. You are not most people. Stay silent, build quietly, and own everything you touch.